All righty, this is the very first episode of the Gridiron Gurus. We're actually 2 minutes late, but hey, it's not that bad. So at least we're on the air and the audio is fixed.
I know
That's the
that's
great
right.
part. So join me. I know. So I have my former co-host, and now we're going to be doing a fantasy football show,
Yeah,
all to like the end of the championship, Mr. Scotty Williams. So how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So since it's 7:03, I'm actually watching on the NFL Network. Thank goodness. And this year's kind of real different because this year, Sunday Ticket will be on YouTube TV instead of Direct TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So if so, you can either watch it on Direct TV or you can go to the bar. So more likely, most people will go to the bar to watch their favorite team.
that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, because I don't even think I had Sling last year for Red Zone, and I
Exactly.
didn't get
That's what I'm
nothing.
thinking of, especially with the because right now I'm just looking at my phone. It says score $50 off NFL Sunday ticket while you can, plus check out can't miss game day features, tips, and more, which will also include NFL Red Zone.
Mm.
Because I watch that from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So that's my daily routine for Sunday, the early games, because there's so many great games on 1 o'clock, you don't know what's up and stuff.
Yeah, that is true.
All right. So you know what? Let's get on with the game for tonight. That is the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. So recently, before we got onto the air, it has been confirmed that Travis Kelce will not play. So once again, so if you have Travis Kelce on your lineup, Travis Kelce will not play. So this could be an opportunity. I hate to say this, but this could possibly be the Lions' first win. Because I was going to say, if Travis Kelce were to play, then how is the Lions going to stop him? So the only thing that the Lions defense got to worry about is how they're going to stop Patrick Mahomes, and they're going to put pressure on the Chiefs running game.
Yeah, that is true. This if they're going to take advantage of it, take advantage of it tonight because it does. The schedule doesn't get any easier, and when you don't have Patrick Mahomes' biggest weapon, and is Chris Jones out too? Do you know? I didn't see that.
Let me check with that. I can check with that right there. Because I just heard Travis Kelce because I've been hearing rumors like Travis Kelce's not going to play because of the injury. Because first it was game time decision, then it was like, oh, he's not going to play.
Because
You
that's going
said
to make
Chris
a big
Jones,
difference.
right?
Chris Jones, that'll make a
Let's
big
see,
difference for the
Chris.
Lions.
Uh, it says Chris Jones will watch tonight's game from his stadium suite, so he will not play.
Well, this is the time the Lions need to put the pedal to the metal and take this win. They have to. They have to. They got to. They. I mean, when you have the best side of the defense and the best side of the offense, well, second best because you got to figure Mahomes in there. You those guys, without those two guys, you have to make this become a victory for Detroit. And if they do, man, they could riot down in Detroit downtown.
And here's the thing: there's a lot of websites that actually got Detroit winning the NFC North now that Aaron Rodgers is no longer with the Packers. So the only thing that the Lions got to worry about is the Minnesota Vikings in that division.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that is true. But you know what? Even though with Rodgers being out, I mean Rodgers being in with New York, you can't you know not think Jordan Love's going to have a decent season. I think a lot of people are underestimating the Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to be up there with the Lions. To be honest with you, I could be wrong, but I that's the way I feel.
And plus, then not to mention, since it's week one of fantasy football, you don't even know what's gonna happen in week one of fantasy football. Because I used to think this: if you were to lose week one of fantasy football, I thought the season was done, either like a
Really?
week or two. I used to think that. I used to think that when I first started playing fantasy football back in high school. But now as I
Okay.
got older, I started to like relax now. So week one, like just because you win week one doesn't mean you're gonna win your league. I mean, there have been stories where like a person was 0-4, then all of a sudden they won the championship. So I've heard crazy stories about stuff like that. So week one to me is kind of like take it easy, and then after week one, you can see like who do you want to keep and who do you want to drop. So that's what I look at in week one.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's so many players that are going to step up. You don't know what injuries are going to look like in the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, those happen. And you know what? I mean, to me, you know, I was a lot of people were going with Patrick Mahomes as like a top pick in fantasy. And after last year, in that playoff where he got hurt, I'm thinking, he's you hate to say it, but he could be kind of due for an injury or so. You don't want to say that and jinx somebody, but honestly, I
Right.
didn't really put Patrick Mahomes high on my fantasy draft mock draft. I just felt like, good things kind of come, and he's had some, no injuries for the past few years that have kept him out an extreme amount of time. But
Right.
now with Kelsey, and it's hard for a team to repeat as Super Bowl champions. You know,
Exactly. And the last time that hasn't happened was in 2004 when the Patriots won back to back. And then I also want to see if Kansas City could run the football now that because you're gonna have to if you're Kansas City. And then you also got to think about Isaiah Pachenko. That's what I'm looking at is how often will the Chiefs will able to run that football. That's what I'm looking at if you have Pachenko. Because remember last season, nobody even know who Pachenko was
right?
until you like saw his performance, and then all of a sudden you picked him up.
Hmm.
So if I'm Kansas City, now is the time to run that football.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to come up with something to, surprise the Lions a little bit, because they know the Lions know Mahomes can throw, but they got to get the Chiefs have got to get that running game in order, or and take some pressure off of Mahomes. And like I said, Pacheco kind of came on at the end of the year, and he did fairly well.
Right. And I think I did look up a stat. If the Chiefs were down by like 10 points, they're like 14-10. That's an unbelievable record.
Mm, that's
That's
interesting.
amazing. Exactly. So if you got Pachenko on your list, that's kind of like a very risky situation. But since Kelsey's not playing, you're thinking like, you know what? I might as well give Pachenko a chance to see how well he does against this Lions defense. So if the Lions do stop Pachenko, then it could be not too good for you for the start of week one
Yeah,
if you have Pachenko.
yeah. I avoided Pachinko on the draft too. I want to see a little more from him before I move him up, atop the mock draft. And you know what I'm saying? It's weird with the running backs because you just never
Exactly.
know what you're gonna
So
get.
exactly. Like for example, like what was that? What was that? Keenan Allen. Like I was like, man, I want Keenan Allen, but he's injury prone, so that's why I stayed away from him. And then last year when we did our draft, nobody did not get Matthew Stafford last year, and I was
Yeah,
like, that says a lot.
yeah, that
He's
is true.
talented, but he can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean the Rams. When you look at the Rams, they're definitely going to be a new team, so to speak, and what they got going on. They lose Bobby Wagner back to the Seahawks. That's going to kind of deplete their linebacking situation there a little bit. Aaron Donald's kind of on the downside of his career, so I don't know if that defense is really going to hold
Right.
up for him. But yeah, I mean, if Stafford can stay healthy, which is an if that offensive line can be uh, keep him upright, he could have a good season. Cooper Kupp's the main guy that is got to be healthy for him too, because if he's not, after Cooper Kupp, they don't
Yes.
really have anybody else.
And that's another person I avoided. Cooper Kupp, talented guy, but when he's not playing, he goes downhill for them.
Yep, yep, that is true. That is very true.
Right. And by the way, tonight's game is at 8:30 on NBC and streaming on Peacock. For those of you want to know what time is tonight's game, of course. Of course, before that, they got the music performance and stuff like that. So it's kind of like Super Bowl music, so to speak,
Yeah, I mean,
without the halftime.
my co-host on the Cohen Bro Opinion Show, he says this is the Lions Super Bowl. That's what he said. This week one is going to
That's
be the
what
Lions Super Bowl.
that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. So, and I also noticed this year with the league we just did on Monday, I noticed, including me, that a lot of people in the draft selected quarterbacks that can run. And what I mean is like they can get out the pocket and just run. So we're not in that era like where the quarterback just stay in the pocket and then just wait and then just throw it. So that says a lot of something. So I have a great feeling that you're going to see a lot of scoring points in terms of quarterbacks. Like for
Well,
example,
oh yeah.
like I was thinking of getting Justin Fields, but I was like, go ahead.
No. I agree with you on that. I mean, the quarterback play has changed a lot. You're definitely seeing a lot of quarterbacks run now. I mean, you got Josh Allen that can run, Jalen Hurts that can run, just to name a few. Um, in fantasy, you're trying to get any kind of point you can get, and I know quarterbacks that can throw is a dual threat. I mean, that's just more points for you if you have that quarterback on your team.
Right. And then I was looking at Tua, by the way, on according to NFL.com, because Tua finished as a QB 10 in fantasy points per game last year with 17.8, even though he had injuries. As the Dolphins will play the Chargers, that is going to be a late game because both networks aren't doing doubleheaders. So Tua is healthy, but has like an explosive supporting cast, of course, Tyreek Hill as well. So you have Tua, and then you have Justin Herbert. And of
Yeah.
course, the head coach is on the jobs on the line as well. So you could see both of these teams, especially at quarterback, doing a lot well. You know what I mean? So that's another quarterback I avoided was Tua. Like Tua can play, but you don't know like when he's going to be like fully healthy. So it's a risk of him starting. But if you're like playing him and then get injured, then looks like someone actually sent something. Uh, and Zuri says, "Hey there, guys. Pachinko tonight versus Lions. D Hop versus Saints. Flex thoughts. Besides myself a bit. So thank you for that comment as well."
Yeah, it's
Scotty
nice.
was
Nice to have some
okay.
live people in here. That's nice. It's good to see. Good to see.
Thank you. So if like I was saying, like I don't have a problem with anybody starting Tua, but just be aware, like if he does get injured, then I don't know what to say. But at least it's week one, so I don't have a problem with starting with Tua if anybody has him.
Yeah, I mean, Tua can be a dual threat guy, running back, and he can throw the ball. I'm just not. I'm just a little leery with Tua. The whole season. I mean, I can see. I think he's going to be a boomer bust every week, in my opinion. I, you know, he's got to stay healthy, and that's the main thing. And then, Jalen Waddle is a home runner bust receiver that he has for him. I know we were talking about quarterbacks, but with that team, I mean, now you don't really know what you're going to get from the running game either for the Dolphins. They didn't get Dalvin Cook, and so they're going to have to. Jeffrey Wilson's on IR now, so Does Mostert do the job? I don't know. I don't think Mostert is going to be a workhorse back. He didn't really do that in San Fran. So it's one of those things, Sean. Tua is kind of a guy that I wouldn't draft. I mean, unless I'm sure
Exactly.
and then the unfortunate part of it is he's probably one of the higher draft picks in fantasy football.
Right. And then you also, because we're talking about quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen, so you got Tua, then you got Geno Smith as they're playing against the Rams. I can see Geno Smith doing a lot of damage with this Rams defense because after the Rams won that Super Bowl, their defense has not been the same ever since. All
That
right.
is
And
true.
we're
That is
talking
true.
about a quarterback that completed, and we're talking about a quarterback that completed 69% of his passes. And I felt like Geno Smith actually resurrected his career when he played for the Seahawks.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, and then hey, I mean, with Geno Smith, I mean, he's got Kenneth Walker the third back in the backfield, and don't
Bird,
count out Zach
DK
Carbonell.
Metcalf.
Yeah, DK Metcalf. You get Najibia or Jackson, the guy from Ohio State. He's injured, but you got Tyler Lockett, and a lot of people thought Tyler Lockett was going to take a hit last year because of Russell Wilson leaving town, and he proved to have probably one of his best
Right.
years. Yeah, and then you got to think too, Bobby Wagner's
And
back with the Seahawks, and he's probably got a chip on his shoulder to
exactly.
go up
That's going
against
to
the
play a
Rams.
factor
Yep, most definitely.
because Geno Smith did lead the league and for those you did not know, Geno Smith did lead the league with 13 touchdowns on passes of 20 or more air yards and a complete percentage of 69.8. Because I did say 69%, by the way. So he's going to go against his first game against the division rival as he threw for 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So that's not bad because in the second matchup, he was limited to 213 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So, like I was saying, the Rams have lost some key pieces from last season. So, Geno Smith will probably be, if you were to tell me like who would probably be the greatest quarterback for a late game, it will probably be Geno Smith, especially with that depleted Rams defense. He'd probably be the best quarterback for a late game, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah. When you look at it, I mean, the Seahawks are going to be at home. You got to like that. And like you said, I think the Rams defense is kind of depleted. I don't know what you're going to get out of Aaron Donald anymore. Is he going to be that kind of a force? Um, so yeah, I agree with you. I think Geno Smith could put up some numbers, definitely, especially with the wide receivers that he's got that he can throw to. I mean, they're pretty much elite receivers for sure.
Now, this one is kind of a risky one. Now, Anthony Richards is the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts because I did say before the draft that the Colts really did need a quarterback because they screwed themselves previous years of not drafting a quarterback, but they finally listened to me all these years.
Right, right.
Exactly. So Anthony Richardson is going against a division rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars, that won the division. But I feel like this is kind of a risky one because you got Anthony Richards as quarterback, you got Jonathan Taylor who out because of he's on the list, and then you got Michael Penix Jr. who can't even stay healthy. And I see the Colts as bad, but I don't think they're going to be bad as many people think. You know what I mean? So I'm very iffy with rookie quarterbacks because I remember when I first played fantasy football back in 2008, my very first quarterback was Matt Ryan as a rookie.
Sure.
And, that's kind of a risky when you draft rookie quarterbacks in your fantasy league. So I know many people say they want to start, but now it's like, you know what? I know it's Jacksonville, but it's like, I'm just going to have to back away from this because I don't know how he's going to do well against this Jacksonville's defense. And plus, you're dealing with a quarterback from Clemson, Trevor Williams. So it's like,
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean,
it's just
you're right. It's iffy, especially he's a rookie quarterback. I think you're going to see him for a fantasy perspective. I think you're going to see him run a lot. Uh, because one, you don't have Jonathan Taylor. I'm not high on the running backs that they
right.
have starting now. Moss and Deion Jackson. Deion Jackson did decent in replacement of Jonathan Taylor when he was out a couple times last year. He did put up some decent numbers, but you know the running back situation in for the Colts is not good, at least until Jonathan Taylor comes back. So that's going to be put a lot of even more pressure on Anthony Richardson. And Michael Pittman's a decent receiver. I don't think he's an elite wide receiver. Um, Jacksonville, I think, is a team, an up and coming team that could take that AFC South, and they got a better defense. They got, I like to see how Calvin Ridley's going to do for them, for the Jacksonville. And then they're just a new team, but they're a lot more. There's a lot more veteran presence that I think there in Jacksonville. So I think Jacksonville's going to kind of. I hate to say it, but I think they could blow them out.
That's what it seems like. So if you got Anthony Richards in your lineup, all I can say is good luck, because this is not a good Indianapolis Colts team at all. Because they got a lot of years of rebuilding after Andrew Luck. That's all I gotta say.
Yep, that is true.
Now, if there was a quarterback that you avoid for Week 1, I would, in my opinion, I would say, dang, I got two I thinking of, but I gotta eliminate one. It's between Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers.
Interesting.
In my opinion. I
Okay.
know. It's very interesting, especially when the Jets is playing the Buffalo Bills, and then Cleveland got to play Cincinnati, which is very weird for them to play Week 1 because they usually play later in the season. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I mean,
So if you were to tell me like which
yep.
quarterback, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, but if I would do like a process of elimination, I probably would say, who I know both of them will probably not get any points. I would probably say Deshaun Watson will probably be the person that will bench more than Aaron Rodgers. I just got that for a strange reason.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Watson, he was out for quite a while there for the suspension. So this is kind of really going to be his first full season in what, 2 years, 2 seasons or so. So he's got Amari Cooper to throw
Something like that.
to. He's got Nick Chubb, so he doesn't have to put it. He doesn't have to put everything on his shoulders. So I mean, but Aaron Rodgers, I'll be honest with you, I think you're seeing a reinvigorated Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, he's got a lot of question marks, receiver wise. Garrett Wilson, I think Garrett Wilson could be his main target, but you can't count out the guys that came over with him from Green Bay, Lazard and Cobb. So he's got familiar targets to throw to, and you got Dalvin Cook. So I think it's going to be a great game. I think that's one of the games that I'm really looking forward to this week. But if I had to say out of Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, I probably wouldn't start Deshaun Watson. I would definitely go with Aaron Rodgers. That's just my opinion.
Exactly. Right. Now let's go over to the running backs, because I feel like Week 1 will probably be more for the running backs than the quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you got Jameer Gibbs. I can see him putting points in tonight's game against the Chiefs, to be honest with you. I could actually see that. Then you got Javonte Williams, as they're going to face the Raiders, because they got a new head coach, Sean Payton. So I expect the Broncos to run the football, and the offense should be more better than it was last year. Then you also got James Cook of the Buffalo Bills, because remember last year, Buffalo didn't run the football as much because they were like more of a passing team. So hopefully Buffalo should learn from last year because Buffalo was just passing it like crazy. And then you got J.K. Dobbins, and then you got Raheem Mozart going to be going to be playing. So you got a couple of running backs that could be an impact for week one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on the Lion bandwagon as of yet, so I get kind of leery with Lion running backs. I mean, David Montgomery, I think, is the top choice there, at least to start things out. I like Gibbs in the long run, especially with him coming out of the backfield as a receiver. I think that's probably where he'll get most of his points this year, in my opinion. But the Lions just, they just kind of like they still kind of scare me. I know everybody's on drinking the Kool-Aid and everything, but for me, if you're going to start a running back, I think you should go with David Montgomery.
And you know what? I have a great feeling when he came to Detroit. I had a feeling like, you know what? He probably was angry because in Chicago, he didn't run the football as much. But now he's in Detroit, he should run the football that he did in Chicago because, with the Bears, it was more of a Justin Fields than it was with Montgomery. Because I remember last year, I had Montgomery. I was like, man, he's supposed to run the football as much. But it was mostly just Justin Fields was running it.
Yeah, and I mean, you see what Jamal Williams did here, and I feel like there's not much has changed on that offensive line. David Montgomery, in my opinion, is an upgrade in the running back position for the Lions. Not to take away from Jamal Williams, but I Montgomery could definitely be a 1,200-yard rusher this year with that Lions offensive line. If they run him the right way, if they scheme him the right way, absolutely.
And here's the information we were saying about Javonte Williams. So during Sean Payton's tenure with the Saints, the running backs have averaged 9.6 targets per game. And last season, the Raiders have allowed the third most catches to backs. And they also allowed the third most fantasy points to position. So Williams is like a 2 in this matchup against the Raiders. So I expect the Raiders to be a bad team anyway. They're probably going to be finished dead last in that division. Who knows?
I mean, that's a tough division, for sure. You know what? I'm still not. I'm still not high on the Broncos. I think there's still something physically wrong with Russell Wilson. So does Javonte Williams get the brunt of the offense? I'm probably if they if they feel like Russell can't throw downfield. I mean, Russell's got some good receivers to throw to. With Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. So I don't know. I want to see more from Russell Wilson on the Broncos. So Javonte Williams could do some things for him. You know what though? I don't agree with you 100% with the Raiders. I think, could they be dead last? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to say yes on that because
it's so tough in the division.
Yeah, I mean they have a good offense. If Garoppolo's going to be the key. If Garoppolo can stay healthy, which is a big if, he could. You seen what he's done with the 49ers in the short stints that he did play. You still got Devontae Adams there. You still got Josh Jacobs running the football. If those guys can, coexist and stay healthy and stuff like that, to me, out of that AFC West, the team I really want to see that I would probably put 4 in that division is the Chargers. Not to say that I don't like Justin Herbert, because I do, but you don't know what you're going to get with Mike Williams. Definitely Keenan Allen is injury prone.
Exactly.
The new guy they just got, I think his name is Quentin Williams. What is this? Is it Quentin Williams? I can't remember right off the top of my head. But he's supposed to
look it up. I can look it up. I can look it up.
Yeah, this is a guy that boy, it's slipping my mind on that guy. I want to say, oh, was it Quentin Johnson? It was Quentin Johnson. It was a weird first name, not a common first name.
I'm
He's a
looking it up
rookie.
for you.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up
But
for you.
anyways, he's got a lot of
It
potential.
is Quentin
And
Johnson.
Quentin
Quentin
Johnson,
Johnson.
that's it. Yeah, I knew it was Quentin. I'm thinking of, Mike Williams, but, he could be
Yeah.
a guy that, if Keenan Allen goes down, he could put up a lot of points for you. I mean, he kinda came into a good situation with 2 receivers that can't stay healthy, so that's gonna put a little more pressure on him, and, not a lot of, first year, wide receivers, actually perform well, but this could be something different, I mean, I would like
Right.
to see him do good there. I wanna see Justin Herbert do good, He's had it rough the last few years, different head coaches and things like that. So I feel like I put the Raiders just a step above, the Chargers in that West, in my opinion.
And let's not forget the Chargers do have a new offensive coordinator that used to be the coordinator for the Cowboys. That's Kellen Moore. So
Mm,
that should hopefully solve the Chargers' offense. That's what the Chargers fans are thinking of.
yeah. Well, I agree. I agree with that.
Exactly. So yeah, the AFC West is kind of like very tough. Well, we know Kansas City's going to win that AFC West, no doubt about it. But it's just a matter of like who's going to finish second, third, and fourth.
Yeah, obviously Kansas City's the favorite just because of they're the Super Bowl champs, but you can't count out the Bronco. You know what I was thinking about the West? You know what? If anybody's going to be at the bottom of that West, I think it could be the Broncos. I couldn't remember. I was thinking the Broncos were in a different division, but yeah, I would probably say KC is your favorite. Then the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos. The only way the Broncos could actually, I think, go for get a wild card spot is you're going to have to see a big turnaround from Russell Wilson. He's the key. He's the key on in that whole thing.
And plus that AFC and plus that conference is very tough. It's a very tough conference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's very tough. This year's probably the toughest year. It's very
Yeah.
tough.
Yep.
So we only got we time is going fast real
I
quick.
know, man.
Time is going real fast. All right, we got hey, especially week one.
Yeah.
So for the running, so we did the running backs. Now we're going for the wide receivers. So you have Chris Olave, I can't even say his name for the Saints. Chris Olave,
Mhm.
Jaheim Dotson of the Washington Commanders. Then you got Drake London because last year he did a couple of great games last year with the Falcons, especially for a flex player. And he's going against the Carolina Panthers, by the way. And I'm looking at the stats right now. I can see Drake London can get a lot of catches, by the way. And not to mention the Atlanta Falcons. If you look at the Atlanta Falcons schedule, they got the Falcons going to the playoffs, and their schedule is kind of easy if you think about it. People not paying attention to it, and plus, there's no Tom Brady in the mix, so it's anybody can win that division in the South. And then you also got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and then you have so if you don't, oh, by the way, if you don't have Cooper Kupp, you could put Sky Moore. You know what I mean? I ain't even
Yeah, I
heard
mean,
of Sky
Sky
Moore
Moore is kind of a
because
coin
I'm
toss.
looking at it. It's just,
Yeah, he's kind of a coin toss for me, Sky Moore. I mean, other than he's probably going to be the guy they focus on. But you know who I really want to see, take off? I wouldn't be surprised if he can stay healthy. Is
what's that?
Kadarius Tony for the Chiefs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because he hardly ever get any catches. He
Mm-hmm.
usually being like in a red zone type.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't know about the Saints, especially with Chris Olave, and then we got Derek Carr as your quarterback. Like I I like Derek Carr. I don't love him. It's just the only problem is he can't stay healthy, even though he did take the Raiders to the playoffs before. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
at least he got
you can't count out
an
the Saints.
accomplishment.
Yeah, you can't count out the Saints at all. Actually, I mean, people forget Michael Thomas is still on that team. And I know he hasn't really played much the last couple of years. But he's a guy that can turn a ball game around, and we've seen it in fantasy football wise. He's lit up the scoreboard, and if he can stay healthy, that's the key. I know we keep pounding that issue. If you can stay healthy, if he can stay healthy, Derek Carr's to me, he's a better quarterback than Winston. And who does he have there over
without a doubt.
The Red Rider? Dalton was there for a minute. So I mean,
that was bad.
Yeah, I mean, don't count Michael Thomas out. If he can stay healthy, he's not that old. He might be his late 20s, early 30s now, which is on the downside of a wide
Still
receiver.
Young.
Yeah, still young. And I think he's got a lot to prove. 2 years out, 2 years it really didn't do much. Hurt. Maybe this could be the turnaround year for him.
And then, not to mention that Alvin Kamara is suspended by the NFL, so this could be an opportunity to have the spotlight since Kamara is suspended.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how Jamal Williams is going to fare down there.
And then what else I'm looking at? I said Mike Evans and I said Chris Godwin, but you don't know, especially got what's his name, Baker Mayfield as quarterback. That's another risky one for that. That's another risky one if you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, because you don't know what is Baker Mayfield's gonna do. That's another risky attempt, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take a couple 3-4 games to see who Baker Mayfield really wants to go with, and if he ends up being the starter there, I mean, he's going to have to prove himself. I mean, Baker Mayfield was never an elite quarterback, but I never felt like he played
same way
horribly. I never felt that he played horribly with the Browns, and he actually
especially when he was playing at Oklahoma, because that was an offense.
Absolutely, yeah. This could be a team, Baker Mayfield that makes Baker Mayfield turn his career around. I mean, he's got the receivers to do it. I'm a little iffy on their running game, right. But I mean, Evans and Godwin. I mean, you got two of the best in the league. It's just a matter of who he's going to throw to.
Exactly, and that's my issue with that. I mean, the wide receiver is great, but like you said, running back, nah. But it's just a matter of like, when is Baker Mayfield going to be like legit, as they're playing against the Minnesota Vikings, which I'm looking forward to seeing that game, in my opinion, because I did put it on the website that they're actually showing that game, the Buccaneers and the Vikings. So that could be a great game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we was talking about Travis Kelce's being injured. There's also a couple of wide tight ends you can look at. You can look at Kyle Pitts, Tyler Higbee. What's another one? Dalton Kincaid of Buffalo. And then you got Juwan Johnson of the Saints. And I'm looking at it, says Juwan Johnson is a sleeper in this upcoming season, by the way, because like from week 7 on last year, he had like 7 touchdowns as he was like 5th in the NFL. And he's been consistent for the Saints passing game. So if he's available, you might as well take the opportunity to get him.
Another guy I think you should take a look at, Zach Ertz. He has been hurt, but he's playing for a really bad Cardinal team. And he's probably, in my opinion, the best receiving option for them. And especially with a young quarterback. I think they're actually going to start Joshua Dobbs, so he could be a nice little safety valve. So yeah, Zach Ertz is a good replacement. If you decided if Kelsey, well, obviously Kelsey's not playing tonight. Hopefully Kelsey can come back soon, but he could Zach Ertz could be a good replacement for him.
I'm glad you saw that problem when you said about the Cardinal situation because I'm like, who is Kyler Murray's going to throw it to? Because I have a bad feeling that this more likely will be the worst team in the NFL. It
Oh
just seems like
yeah,
it
oh yeah,
between them and Houston.
yeah. I mean they're pretty
Like good,
much.
but I don't think. But the only difference is, but I don't think Houston's quarterback is that bad. I don't think Houston's quarterback is that bad. It's just the teams around them is they don't have enough pieces. That's what I look at Houston. But I think Arizona is going to be not only bad, but where's Kyler Murray is going to be after this season? That's going to be a really big question.
Well, I mean, especially, I mean, you might not even see Kyler Murray this year. They're talking he might not even play. Period. So, I mean, they went and traded for Joshua Dobbs and for Cleveland, and then uh, they have another younger guy that hasn't had much experience. So, yeah, I would say Arizona's probably the team that would probably be a bottom feeder this year. The reason I wouldn't go Houston is because Stroud is a rookie. Don't get me wrong, and rookie quarterbacks can have their problems, but when you got a Damian Pierce in the backfield, look out for Nico Collins. Nico Collins could be a wide receiver uh, on the upswing. You know, I, he's going to have to find, with Stroud, he's going to have to find his guy he likes to throw to, and I think that'll have to be something that you'll see in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. That's the only bad thing about week one. You kind of
Exactly.
go, you kind of think about what they did last year, and unfortunately, it's a different season.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And then the also question is like who will have a better class? Because it's been, I think this conversation has been talked since last year. It's like who will have a better rookie, better quarterback year? Is it this year's or is it going to be next year's class? Because that's been like a very debatable topic. You know what I mean? Especially got
Yeah.
Caleb Williams coming out of USC, and then you got that quarterback from Notre Dame. So it's like, because we ain't gonna judge it for the first year. It got to take years to develop. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I agree with you. Rookie quarterback. The one to me, everybody's on Bryce Young with Carolina. Hey, he's got some targets to throw to, but you know, I don't think there's going to be any rookie quarterback this year that's going to light the league on fire. That's just my opinion.
And then I also look at Pittsburgh's situation. I forgot about talk about Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is going to host the San Francisco 49ers. So I do have one person in the league. It's actually have Christian McCaffrey. And I don't know when the last time Christian McCaffrey ever played a full season because usually he'll get injured. You know what
Well,
I mean?
yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, everybody's saying 49ers out of the West, but the only way the 49ers are going to win that division is if everybody stays healthy. I mean, that's it. I mean, I think it's a
Correct.
good thing that McCaffrey. I think with Debo Samuel, he has his injury problems too, but I think maybe they could go back and forth with those two because Debo Samuel's is kind of more of a flex option. Uh, I think I would go with Mixon, to be honest with you. I seen Malachi up in there. That'd
And
be my opinion. Yeah, I think I would go Mixon. Yeah, yeah, that would be my opinion.
yeah, that's a very yeah, especially for week one. So for week one, I would say Mixon as well. especially with Joe Burrow. I heard Joe Burrow may be playing, by the way, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't count Joe Burrow out. Listen, the Lions seem to play better in the spotlight, and this is kind of a big game for them. And that defense is going to be raring to go with Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston up in there, up in that front. I, I think. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm not trying to say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but you know, I I think they could stop Pacheco. And if you're looking for more running yards and more of a prolific runner, I think Joe Mixon's your guy. Yep.
And then I know I do have a kicker from Pittsburgh. I got Brian Boswell because, like, when it comes to kickers, I want my kicker kicking deep balls. More than 50 yards. That's the reason why I always pick kickers either the last round or the last round before. I always learn that. Always get the kickers and defense like last because you don't want to get it early because you'll be very disappointed. So thank goodness I got Boswell as my kicker.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good kicker. Justin Tucker is probably the most consistent kicker in the league. I would have to go with Young Ho Koo from the 40. I mean, from the Falcons, and
Oh
then
yeah,
don't count out. I
Falcons.
mean, then Harrison Butker from KC. He got injured a little bit last year, so you're going to look at more of a healthier kicker in Butker. Hey, but you know what? Who I really want to see? Jake Moody from the 49ers. I mean, they went out and spent a high draft pick on this kid, and you seen what he did here for the University of Michigan. He had his issues a little bit in preseason, but hey, that's preseason, and you got to work your kinks out, and you're the guy there. So I would say my top 4 kickers would probably be I do like Boswell. I would say Justin Tucker, Young Huku from the Falcons. You can't count out Matt Prater. Matt Prater's a good kicker too, Shawn, and he's probably going to get a lot of opportunities in Arizona.
For some odd reason, I don't know why the media doesn't like Koo that much. That's really weird. I noticed about that because Koo has been a consistent kicker.
Absolutely.
That's really
And then
weird.
now, Will Lutz is now over in Denver. Hey, he was pretty. He had some pretty decent years over there in New Orleans. Now you'll be kicking 8 or 9 games there in Mile High. He could be one of those guys that you got to consider too.
Yeah, their weather is very different from what I've heard about Denver. Their weather is kind of different.
Oh yeah. It's just like baseball. That's why you see a lot of home run balls out there. But I think kicking could be something different. I mean,
Okay, now it makes sense.
Matt Prater came from Denver. He was an elite kicker when he was with Denver. Got into some problems. They had to release him. He kicked well here for the Detroit Lions. If you're looking for a kicker down the road, I mean, don't count out Michael Badgley. I still don't know why the Lions decided to get rid of him. Then he went and signed with he was on a couple of training camps. I think it was Washington and maybe the Titans. Both of them got released him, and allegedly he's back on the practice squad for the Lions. But I don't know what's the issue with Badgley and why he can't stick around. Because I mean he's been a consistent kicker. He was a consistent kicker for the Lions last year. So who knows?
Now, as we're discussing about week 1, if there was a defense that you really like this week, like for example, I got the Green Bay Packers defense as they're facing against the Chicago Bears. That's the game I'm looking forward to because I think the Bears is going to be way better, especially with their offensive line, because you got to remember that offensive line for the Bears was so bad that Justin Fields was just running for his life. But I want to see how well can the Bears offensive line can protect Justin Fields? Because I feel like if the Packers can stop Justin Fields and that offensive line, then I can see the Packers winning their first game. So I like the Packers defense. There could be other defense that many people like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can't count out the. I mean, especially it depends on what how your fantasy league rolls. I mean, if you got, I play in an ID. I play in a few leagues, so I play in an IDP league. And I don't know if we ever want to go into defensive players, but we can always go into that later on in the season. So feel free to throw in some questions on that if you're listening. A
Right.
team defense, you can't count out the Raiders because the Raiders have a good special teams. And so you don't count out them, especially if you're looking for a defense and you're getting points for special teams too. So that could they were actually rated number one special team wise. So even though you might not get the
Wow.
yeah, even though you might not get the elite, middle linebacker position with the tackles and all that other stuff, they do have a high
Right.
ranking in special teams.
That's the first time I ever heard this information. So
Yep.
I'm also looking at it. I'm looking at the Vikings defense because I'm looking at the Vikings defense because they're not gonna have Tom Brady, by the way. So you can see the Vikings putting a lot of the pressure on Baker Mayfield. I could see the Vikings defense doing well against the Buccaneers, and then you got the Saints against the Titans. You know what I mean? Because the Titans, the only thing they got to worry about is Jacksonville. You know what I mean? So there could be some surprises. You got the Falcons, you got the Falcons defense, you got the Vikings defense, then you got the Saints, and I think the biggest one will probably be Washington going against Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see how Chase Young's going to come back. I mean, he was a highly touted defensive end out of Ohio State a couple of years ago. He had that ACL tear. Didn't really do much last year. But hey, I mean, if he comes on, he could be. He was touted as the next, Joey Bosa. So I mean, hey, it's possible. That defense plays well. I'll tell you. You know what defense I really want to see is your Cowboys, how they're going to fare.
Boy, especially the first game against the New York Giants on Sunday night.
Yeah. And
Oh boy.
don't count out the New York Giants defense because
They've
they
actually upgraded.
yeah. They grabbed the middle linebacker Bobby O'Kirk from the Colts, who put up great numbers. And if you're in an IDP league, he put up great numbers last year. They brought over Isaiah Simmons from Arizona, who is kind of a safety slash middle linebacker. So don't count the Giants defense out. They could be a defense to look, you know, and you might not, you might be able to pick them up on the waiver wire if you're. I mean, obviously everybody's drafts are pretty much done, but don't count them out.
Right. All right. So we only got 4 minutes left. So you know what I was thinking of? We could do like our NFC AFC predictions real quick for 4 minutes. So we got enough time. So
Okay.
do you want to start with the NFC first or you want to start with the AFC?
Now what are we going with? Who's going to win what? Or are we going to go who we think is going to be win the division? Is that what we're looking at?
Who we think is going to win? So we're going to do by division first, and then by division.
Okay. Well, I am going to
All
go.
right.
I guess we start off with the NFC East. You want to do that?
Okay. Yeah. So for the NFC East, I got Philadelphia Eagles as one. I got the Cowboys second. I got this will probably surprise people. I actually got the Giants 3 and I got Washington 4.
Hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to go a little different. I think the Cowboys will win that division. I just think the Eagles, I think they lost a lot defensively from last year. Yeah, they got a great offense. I'm not taking anything away. I just feel like the Cowboys improved.
Right.
So I'm gonna go Cowboys at 1. Uh, I'm actually gonna go. Eagles at 2, Giants 3, and Commanders at number 4 for the East NFC East.
All
That's
right.
my prediction.
All right. Now we're going to the NFC North. Now, this is very different because there is no Aaron Rodgers in the picture. So, depending on this season, I would say the Minnesota Vikings will probably be number 1, and then number 2 will probably be Detroit. Then number 3, oh my gosh. Oh boy. I think number 3 will probably be the Bears. I think
Really?
number 3 will be the Bears. I think
And
the
you're
Bears
going
are going to be.
Packers
I think the
as
Bears are going
4?
to surprise a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am totally different on this with you. I feel the Vikings are going to be the ones to pull that out. I'll go Lions at 2. Uh, it's going to be close. I think people are underestimating the Packers, and I think they could make a run in that division. But I'm going to put them at 3, and the Bears as the bottom feeders there in the North.
Okay. So we're going with the South now. Oh man, this is probably like a scratching my head type
Sure.
because, like I said, there's no Tom Brady. You know
Uh,
what? This would probably be a shocker.
What's that?
I see the Atlanta Falcons winning this division. I
Okay.
really do.
Okay.
Especially with their schedule is super easy. I can see the Falcons being number 1. Then number 2 will probably be Carolina. 3 will be the Saints, and then 4 will be the Buccaneers.
Okay, I'm different on I differ from you. I'm saying I'm going to say the Saints are going to win that division. Uh, I'm going to go Buccaneers at 2, and Falcons 3, Panthers 4. That's
Okay.
my predictions, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Then lastly, we got the NFC West. NFC West.
Yep.
So I know both of these teams will more likely make it to the playoffs between San Francisco and Seattle, especially Seattle made an upgrade. They made an upgrade on defense off season. So I got to give them credit for that. But this will be a shocker. I actually got the Seahawks winning the division. And then number 2, you got the 49ers. 3 would be the Rams, and then 4 will be Arizona.
Well, I think I'm going to go with the Seahawks at 1. So I agree with you on that. But I'll be honest with you. I think it's a coin toss for me between the Rams and the 49ers. If the 49ers stay healthy, I think they could pull out to be at number 2. But to me, I mean, I don't see a ton difference between the Rams and the 49ers, but I'm going to go 49ers 2, Rams 3, and Cardinals at 4.
Yeah. I thought I was the only one because everybody gonna say, "Oh, it's San Francisco." I was like, you haven't paid
Well,
attention with the injuries.
right, but you know what though?
That's
I mean, the you got to look at consistency. Is Brock Purdy going to be that guy? He did well for him.
guy.
So that's good for San Francisco. But is he good? Can he? You only seen him for a few games, and granted, he did well for him in the playoffs. But like I said, it's just the injuries are what's gonna determine San Francisco's future this year.
Exactly. So that's the NFC. Now we're going to do the AFC. Oh boy, this is a tough one. All right, so we can do with the AFC North. Oh man, this is gonna be
AFC
so
North.
tough.
Uh,
Uh
I'd like to see what you're gonna pick, Sean.
yeah, AFC North. I will probably say, oh my gosh, between Baltimore and Cincinnati, I'm torn between these two. I probably would say Cincinnati would be number one, and then number two would be Baltimore because Baltimore did not make it to the playoffs. So I think they're going to take a step up, especially you have Odell Beckham and then Lamar Jackson with that big contract. So I got the Baltimore number two. Three, I got Cincinnati, and then four is Pittsburgh. I got to see more of Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is not going to be like a under 500 team. They'll probably be like late in the season. They'll fight for a playoff spot type of situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Ravens. I just think it's so hard to keep repeating. I like Cincinnati, but I just think there's some issues going on there. So in Lamar's got a lot to prove, and don't count out J.K. Dobbins. He's a running back that uh has shown flashes, and if he stays healthy, that could give them a really solid run game, especially with Lamar. He can take off and run too. Like you said, Odell Beckham's there. They got a good defense. So I'm going to go with them at one. Um, I'm actually going to go. I'm actually going to go with the Bengals at two. And I will say the Browns will be three and Steelers will be four. But to me, there's, it's just one of those deals. It could that those two could flip flop.
Exactly. So, we only did, we did the AFC North. So we're going to be doing the AFC South. Now, this one will be like the easiest of the easiest because let's be honest, the AFC South is not that great. Let's be honest. So there's only two teams I can see coming out, well, or either one. So this is tough between Tennessee and Jacksonville. Oh boy. I will probably say, oh my goodness. Do I want to see Jacksonville? I would probably say Jacksonville. They'll probably take a step up like they did last season because nobody ever thought Jacksonville would make it to the playoffs. Then number two, I got Tennessee. Three, I got Houston, and then four will be Indianapolis.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go. I am definitely gonna go Jaguars to take that division, just because I think they're the better team all around.
Trevor Lawrence.
Definitely the Titans at two. If Derrick Henry can stay healthy, if Tannehill can get back to form, I think they could do fairly well. And then between the Texans and the Colts, I mean, you're looking at two rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think I would go if Jonathan Taylor comes back after week 4 and he gets all the contracts. I would have to go Colts for 3 and Texans as 4 in that division.
All right. So then we got the AFC East. Now, this one is probably going to be the second toughest in that conference. So, oh man. I still got Buffalo, but I think they're going to take a step back from last season. So I still got the Buffalo Bills number 1, Jets 2. I got Miami 3, and then the Patriots 4th. And some odd reason I've been hearing some weird rumors that this may be Bill Belichick's last year if he doesn't get things done. From what I'm hearing.
Well, that would be interesting. I'm actually going to go Jets
Yeah,
as the team to take that division. Just because, like I said, I mean, you're looking at a reinvigorated Aaron Rodgers, and then
Aaron Rodgers.
you got Dalvin Cook, and don't you also got Brees Hall, and then the defense is good with Sauce and Garrett Wilson. You got Lazard and Cobb. I think they're the better team. Um, I would say second place. I'm going to go Dolphins. If Tua can stay healthy, and I
Stay
think the
healthy.
I think the Dolphins. I think there's not. I like, and I hate to say it because I do like the Bills, but I just feel like the Bills don't have a run game. And right now, you hear different things with
And that's the
Stephon
issue right there.
Diggs. Yeah, Stephon Diggs and stuff. So teams can't. You see a lot of teams. They've been up there winning the division and going far in the playoffs. I think they take a step back this year. So I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna go Jets 1, um, Dolphins 2, Bills 3, and Patriots at 4.
Exactly. We both agree New England more likely to be dead last because I have not seen any progress with New England situation. It's not looking
Yeah,
good. And
yeah,
plus, Bill Belichick is like 18. And plus, Bill Belichick's like 18 games away of getting Don Shula's record.
yeah, and then Mac Jones. Listen, let's just say this: Belichick he has you know has some wild cards pull out of his pocket, but I just don't feel like Zeke Elliott can he regain some kind of form that he had with Dallas? That'll be key.
Right.
And then now they're saying their top receiver, Juju Schuster, he's got a knee problem, and
Oh boy.
he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Patriots at 4. I mean, it's I don't think it's looking good for the Patriots.
I can't believe and I can't believe CBS put them on national TV against the Eagles. That's
Well, that's
mind
just
boggling.
because of the
But
Eagles.
whatever.
Everybody wants to see the Super Bowl.
Eagles,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's all that is. That's all that is.
Exactly. And then finally, we got the AFC West. So we both agreed that Kansas City Chiefs is going to be number one because we did say it earlier. Number two, oh man, this is very iffy. I don't want to say the Broncos because they got to show me. So I'm going to go with Chargers 2, the Raiders 3. Yeah, the Raiders. Wait. Chiefs 1, Chargers 2nd. Then I got the Broncos 3rd, then the Raiders 4th.
Okay. I would have to go Chiefs. I'm going to go Chargers and Broncos 3 and Raiders 4. Yeah. Yeah. It just depends. Like I said,
Yeah,
to
because
me there's not a ton of difference in my opinion between the Raiders and the Broncos. Actually, it just depends.
Broncos.
If Russell Wilson can return to form, what kind of form is that at? I don't know. I talked about this on another podcast with Russell. I feel like Russell Wilson is a system quarterback, and I think he kind of got exposed there in Denver. So, but we'll see. He wasn't healthy last year. You don't want to root against him, but I'm gonna put the Broncos at that
Right.
to be 4th in that division. I'm gonna put the Raiders ahead of them.
Because like I said, the Raiders they gotta prove me something. Because I mean they got offensive weapons, no question, but I'm worried about that defense. That's what I'm worried about the Raiders.
Right. We'll see. It's gonna be a
But hey,
great
this is the first
season.
time we ever right. So right now it's only 18 minutes before kickoff. So after all this time we were talking, I was watching the NFL Network. So this is the this is the second year since I got YouTube TV that I got NFL Network. And then when we do the show next week, it'll be on Amazon with better games. So because last year the Thursday night football games were terrible. So hopefully this year's will be much better with the flex.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It'll definitely be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Football now until what, January?
And by the way, yeah, exactly. And by the way, you can watch this broadcast or a live broadcast on the Sports for America website, the YouTube channel, Twitter, and Twitch, by the way. So we will see you guys next Wednesday, correct?
Yes, that is the plan.
Exactly. So that way, because we did it tonight because the Lions is playing, and plus it's the first game. So that's a great idea. At least we had people asking us questions, so that's feel more comfortable. I'm glad we had people.
Yeah, it's always nice to have people chiming in. Absolutely.
All right, so we will see you guys next week at 8 o'clock. I'll let you know.